There's a popular children's rhyme that says, sticks and stones may break my bones and words can never harm me. I disagree with this statement, as words do hurt, and many times have a permanent state on one's mindset. In fact, the Bible confirms that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Think deeply about the statements that I mentioned, that I mentioned earlier in my previous video, and think about, the impact it has on someone. Do not be quick to speak what's on your mind, even though some of the statements may be accurate. But ask yourself before you speak whether the words spoken, that the words we spoke, will solve anything. Empower someone, encourage someone. We should not be promoting division, you know what I mean? So let us continue to discontinue using derogatory statements. This is the first step, I believe, towards living together in harmony. One fact about a small country is that, one tends to know everything that is going on in the country in a heartbeat. That's a fact. In larger countries, the information takes a longer time to disseminate. The truth is, whatever happens in Turks and Caicos happens everywhere. Every country has some lazy people. Every country has some xenophobic people. Every country has some passive people. There's some aggressive people. There are some sensitive people. There are some small-minded people. There are some slave mentality people with slave mentality minds. So even if your country is independent, that's how it is. There's some weak people. There's some strong people. There are smart people, no matter where. There's some great athletes. Every country has some dishes that are well known and taste very well. And for every country, there are residents that dress well. In fact, most of the time, the food we eat and the clothes and shoes we wear, especially in the Caribbean, we import this from other countries. So it really doesn't make sense arguing about who cooks the best, who dresses the best, when we are importing these things anyway. We have to come to grips with reality that each individual is unique. And therefore, we should conclude that all Turks and Caicos Islanders are not the same. And likewise, all expatriates are not the same. You may encounter 2 or 3, lazy Turks and Caicos Islanders. But that does not mean that all Turks and Caicos Islanders are lazy. You may hear some locals say they do not like, some outsiders. But that does not mean that all locals do not like outsiders. On the other hand, I believe that there are some expatriates that consider the Turks and Caicos their home and really want to help. But they are discouraged by the negative comments, that's out there. How do you feel when someone says something negative about you? Do you feel good? No. After all, we are human beings, and human beings have feelings. We do not know the future, and we do not know where our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren will end up. Whoever envisioned that the Turks and Caicos Islands would accommodate and host over 91 nationalities? Many years ago, some of our families migrated to the Bahamas for survival. Now today, some of the generations from those families that migrated to the Bahamas are migrating to Turks and Caicos. Who would have ever thought that this would have happened? Maybe 10 or 20 years down the road, some of us may have to migrate to one of those 91 countries that are currently in Turks and Caicos. And even if we do not end up in any of these countries, it's simply not the right thing to say anything negative about someone. Plant a good seed now so that you can get a good fruit in the future. By speaking negative words, we are planting a bad seed that will result in a bad fruit. It will result in a bad fruit of hatred, a bad fruit of division. Is this the kind of bad fruit we want for the Turks and Caicos Islands? Do you love the Turks and Caicos Islands? If the answer is yes, then let us make Turks and Caicos a positive environment to live in, to work in, and all we have to do is to control what comes out of our mouth.